Welcome to this explainer. If you've ever stepped into a lab and felt, just a little overwhelmed by all the fragile glass and fancy gadgets, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down exactly how to observe, measure, and investigate safely, making sure you are totally prepared for your next scientific adventure. Let's dive right in. We're looking at a really comprehensive visual guide that maps out how science equipment actually helps us observe, measure, and investigate safely. And the golden thread running through all of this? Well, it's to always use each tool correctly and handle it with absolute care. We've got a lot of fascinating tools to cover today, from microscopes to electronic balances. To make this all easy to digest, we're breaking our journey down into 3 phases. Section 1, measuring and observing. Section 2, handling and heating. And Section 3, the golden rules. Let's get to it. Starting right off with Section 1, measuring and observing, where precision is key. Think of the microscope as our literal window into a tiny, unseen world. It is a brilliant tool used to observe very small objects that the naked eye simply cannot catch. But because it is such a delicate piece of machinery, how we physically move it around the lab actually matters a great deal. Since it's so sensitive, handling it correctly is crucial. Step 1, always carry it with 2 hands. You want to keep one hand securely on the arm and place the other firmly under the base for support. Step 2, keep those sensitive lenses clean. And Step 3, make sure you return it to storage properly when you're done. It's all about respect for the equipment. Now, check out the difference here between measuring liquids and solids. For liquids, our graduated cylinder is used to measure volume accurately. But to get that accurate reading, you must read it exactly at eye level. Contrast that with the electronic balance, which is used to measure mass. For the balance, you need to place your materials on a container first, and whatever you do, do not overload it. Wrapping up our observation tools, we have the trusty thermometer, which is used, of course, to measure temperature. It seems straightforward, but it requires a very specific approach to handling. Here's the kicker. You need to hold it gently and keep it upright. And pay close attention to this next part. Never, ever use it for stirring, and do not expose it to sudden impacts. It is a measuring device, not a spoon. Treating it like a stirring rod is a guaranteed way to end up with broken glass in your experiment. So, we've got peaceful observation and precise measurements down pat. But what happens when our experiment requires mixing, dynamic reactions, and intense heat? That brings us to Section 2, handling and heating. This is where the dynamic reactions happen. The beaker is literally the classic icon of the lab. It is essential for holding, mixing, or heating your liquids. But safety first, friends. There is a massive caution here. Do not use cracked beakers. Seriously, even a tiny hairline fracture can shatter when it's exposed to heat. And always use proper protection when you're holding hot beakers. Heat transfers fast, and we want to keep your hands completely safe. Now, for smaller, more delicate reactions, we scale down to the test tube. It's used to hold or heat small amounts of substances. And because of its shape, it concentrates heat very quickly. That rapid heating leads to a critical rule. Step 1, point the open end away from people when heating. If a liquid suddenly boils and splatters, you definitely do not want it aimed at you or your lab partner. And Step 2, place it securely in a test tube rack after use. You can't just lay a round tube on a flat table. Of course, if you're heating that test tube, you shouldn't be holding it with bare hands. When things get too hot to handle, the test tube holder steps in. It's used to hold a hot test tube safely. Proper handling here is pretty literal. You must grip the test tube firmly before you apply heat, making sure to keep your fingers far away from the hot area. It's basically an extension of your hand to keep you at a safe distance. Finally, for those careful liquid transfers where pouring from a beaker just won't cut it, we have the handy dropper. It is specifically used to transfer small amounts of liquid. Squeeze it gently. Also, avoid touching the tip to dirty surfaces and use it only for the intended liquid. This prevents cross-contamination, ensuring we don't accidentally ruin our carefully planned experiments. And that leads us to Section 3, the golden rules for general lab safety. These rules are the ultimate foundation of a professional lab. Wear your safety goggles, check your equipment for damage before you start, never play with lab tools, report spills or broken equipment immediately, always clean, dry, and return your equipment, and absolutely follow the teacher's instructions at all times.
Great discoveries require strict discipline. From reading a graduated cylinder at eye level to aiming a hot test tube away from your peers, every single action matters. Knowing how to properly use this equipment is the very first step toward any massive scientific breakthrough. So, equipped with this foundational knowledge, are you ready to investigate safely? And more importantly, what scientific mystery will you uncover next? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy experimenting!